computer or cloud.
Hello everyone, welcome to our webinar tonight, wherever you are in the world. So my name's Carolyn. I am a wellness coach within the HSE. I have a vet nursing background and I'm also currently training to be a health coach as well. So thank you all for being here. We are also going to be having Larissa and Laurence on tonight. We'll all be sharing just some beautiful goodness with you. And I'm very excited to share this webinar with you tonight. So just to thank you all again for being here and for your support. This is something we are really passionate about sharing with others. So please sit back, grab a cup of tea, a notepad, take some notes and enjoy yourselves. We really hope this will serve you, and please type any questions you have into the chat as they come up and we will be able to get to them. So if you didn't already know, we are part of a beautiful holistic program called the Healthstyle Emporium, which focuses on fusing the mind, body and soul so you can live the most energized life, feel at home in your body and really thrive as your happiest selves. Our motto is eat well, supplement well, live well. So in today's event, we're going to be discussing intuitive eating. So this is how we can support our bodies, mind and soul using a holistic approach. We'll also be giving you a sneak peek into our program and talking to you a little bit about how to supplement. Okay, so if we're all ready to get started, I'd love to take you through a topic that is incredibly close to my own heart. So I'm just going to share my screen for a moment so we can have a look through. Okay, amazing. So intuitive eating, what is intuitive eating? Well, it's simply a way of eating. It's not a diet. In fact, it's the anti-diet. It's making a choice to make peace with all foods. It is body positivity and promoting unconditional self-acceptance. It's about reconnecting your mind, your body and brain while creating a healthy relationship with food and healing from the past. It's choosing freedom. So we begin life eating purely by instinct. Any mother will wonder how their newborn baby instinctively looks for a nipple without ever having eaten before. We marvel at this innate survival behavior. Toddlers also very much know whether they're hungry and whether they're satisfied, which to any adult who has grown up in this culture and society where we are told when we should eat, what we should eat, how much we should eat, this can be incredibly frustrating for us because they just want to go ahead and do their own thing. But children, they're so instinctive about their hunger and satiety. Unfortunately, though, if we leave them to decide what they'll eat, they will eat cookies and noodles all day. So when kids are hungry and they're fed, they learn that their hunger is normal and natural. They then feel safe and they don't experience deprivation or fear that there won't be enough food. We would never intentionally not feed our children when they're hungry or force them to eat past being comfortable. Yet when we diet and we restrict and we control our food and we eat with rules, that's exactly what we're doing to ourselves. So unfortunately, we live and have grown up in a very toxic diet culture. We're in a culture where thinness trumps health and wellness. Thinness is a sign of success, discipline, and attractiveness. It's often considered to be connected to our worthiness as well, or that's how we tend to view it. I think the way that we react to others about their weight has changed as we come to realize that body shaming is not okay, yet we are extremely self-critical and we continue to body shame ourselves. So that inner negative narrative around body shape, food and weight is still there, and it's very strong. The encouraging of restriction and food group eliminations, labeling food good and bad, causing so much fear and anxiety, normalizes eating in a disordered way, it's quite socially acceptable to be dieting and overeating, particularly about emotional eating. You know, when people talk about going and getting the tub of ice cream and burying themselves in it, you know, that's quite an accepted practice. That's how we should deal with our emotions. So I'd like to give you a little bit of background about my own intuitive eating journey. And I can tell you now that it's been a really it's a definite lifelong journey. At 19, I was diagnosed with anorexia. Eating disorders very rarely have a single cause, but for many it's triggered or developed after a period of restriction or dieting, which is what happened to me. This spiraled into about 14 years of suffering from something that I wouldn't wish on anybody ever. I swung between the extremes of anorexia and bulimia, and at the 5-year mark, they consider you chronic and that your disorder is severe and enduring. And for me at that point, it was at its worst and I was severely underweight. They made sure that I understood how dangerous it was and that I understood the mortality rate. But regardless, I couldn't stop it. It was a compulsion that ruled every moment of my day. I thought about food and weight and restricting and binging and purging and exercising all day, every day. It's literally all the brain space that I had at that time. I am 42 now, but I never thought I was going to make it to 40. When I was 30 and I'd had another serious relapse, I was again just trying to get to where it would be manageable because I thought that that was the best that I could do. I knew I was going to die. If not from my disorder directly, from a heart attack, from my own hand, because I definitely wasn't thriving. I was barely surviving. I was exhausted and I knew that what I was doing was not living. And the thought of continuing the rest of my life like that was unbearable. I convinced a clinic to take me in. I could tell that they considered it to be a bit of a waste of time because I'd been through so much treatment. I told them everything I'd done to try to recover in the past, and I said I needed some extra help. I'd done everything, loads of outpatient clinics, weekly GP visits, weigh-ins, counselling, psychologists, healers, eating disorder services, addiction programs, diets, nutritionists, dietitians, 1,000 diets that I thought would magically heal me while not allowing me to gain any weight. I'd done everything. Another problem I had was that although I hated the bulimia, I also didn't want to let go of some of the elements of my anorexia. I was a very, very sick girl who became a very, very sick woman, and I was slowly dying. But when I finished that course and I started going to 12-step programs, which had great principles around self-awareness, and I knew that much like the addict, I needed to do whatever I needed to do at that point to get recovery. I don't even know how, but I ended up with these books on intuitive eating and I started reading them. And it just happened to be exactly the right time and exactly the right information that I needed to make a change in my life. So I come from the severe end of that spectrum, but what I gained from it was unbelievable. Obviously, I'm here in front of you today, a happy, incredibly happy and healthy person. So who is this for? Well, not just for people like me who came from a severely disordered side of the problem, but I think it's for anyone who wants to eat and feel good about it, anyone who wants to eat free of guilt, anyone who doesn't want to be part of the unhealthy diet culture we're surrounded by, anyone who wants to feel good about the body that they're in, anyone who wants genuine self-worth regardless of how big or how small you are. Anyone who wants to recover from disordered eating patterns and behaviours, and anyone who wants to honour their body and its needs, anyone who wants to move and exercise again out of enjoyment and not weight control, and anyone who's been on a restricted diet like athletes and are experiencing diet backlash and dissatisfaction, anyone who wants freedom around food and weight. This is possibly the most perfect thing for you. So the science behind it is intraceptive awareness. intuitive eating is evidence-based and heavily researched. The book that I've based much of this presentation on was the book that I read when I started going through my journey. So it was called Intuitive Eating, the Anti-Diet. And that was put together by nutritionists Evelyn Tribole and Elise Resch in 1995. This came about when they found that the diets that they were prescribing to their nutrition clients would work for a period of time, but then they wouldn't. These poor clients would end up coming back. They would be dejected, they would be feeling like failures, and they were often physically worse than when they'd initially gone in for help. So while the clients thought that they were failures, Evelyn and Elise came to realize that no, it's actually not the clients, it's the diet process that's a failure. And so they created a set of 10 principles that came from the plethora of research that is out there around intuitive eating. There is literally hundreds of studies. So the foundation of intuitive eating has two main components, the intraceptive awareness and intraceptive responsiveness. Intraceptive awareness is feeling and understanding the physical sensations in our body as it happens in real time. So emotions, it's the feeling of having a distended bladder, it's hunger and satiety. So these sensations all exist to provide important information so that we can meet our body's needs. And the other side of the process is intraceptive responsiveness, which is how we then respond to those physical sensations. Do I have a full bladder? Okay, I can go and empty it. Am I thirsty? Okay, I can go and drink. Am I hungry? I can go and eat. So both our awareness and our responsiveness around those bodily sensations in relation to food can be affected by dieting and relying on the external cues, such as following macros, counting calories, and following very strict diet plans. This ultimately confuses the mind and body connection. You can lose value in your bodily sensations. You ultimately distrust them, and then you seek to control them, which then causes more distortion and more dysfunction, more confusion. You are caught in that vicious cycle. So within those studies around intuitive eating, so within those studies of intuitive eating, there have been so many benefits acknowledged, not just directly related to food, such as less binge eating or overeating or less restriction, but other benefits simply related to well-being in general. So body appreciation, increased positivity, greater life satisfaction, more exercise enjoyment, optimism, resilience, proactive coping, and better problem solving. So how do we do this? So these 10 principles is outlined by Elise and Evelyn. I highly recommend that if you're interested in taking this journey, that you use the book that they have. It's amazing. So number one is rejecting the diet mentality. So what does this mean? It means accepting that diets don't work because they are unsustainable long-term. And most people have gained back the weight within 2 to 5 years, and often they gain back more. This is common knowledge. We've been seeing this for years, if not having experienced it ourselves. So for me, this meant that I needed to let go of my obsession with weight and dieting. I donated my scales to the Salvation Army, along with all the books that I owned around dieting. I made the decision I would not read about diets. I would not talk about diets. I would not buy magazines that are full of diets. I also wouldn't buy diet foods. So there was going to be no diet. I barely even knew how to live a life like that. But I knew that I had to accept and allow my body to heal and do whatever it needed to do. And for me, personally, at that time, I knew it was going to be weight gain, or potentially it was going to be weight gain. And I really needed to be okay about that. I had to accept that my body knew what it needed to do, and I needed to let it do it. Rejecting that diet mentality is absolutely essential in healing your relationship with food. principle 2 is honoring your hunger. So begin to really listen to those body signals, recognize your hunger cues, and don't wait until your hunger is absolutely yelling at you and you are so hangry that you will eat anything that's in your pantry. Listen and respond when it's appropriate. When we are in tune with our hunger and our fullness, we will eat the correct amounts that our body needs. But we need to rebuild that trust again. Just remember the toddler. Principle 3 is make peace with food. Making peace with food means allowing all food that you want to eat back into your diet. No more deprivation, no good and bad foods. It's just food. Some will sustain you and some won't. Some you will really like and some you won't. Some will make you feel great afterwards and some won't. We draw from our bank of food memories in order to help make our decision about what we truly want to eat. Are you scared to keep chocolate in the house in case you eat all of it? That was me. I remember my heart absolutely racing when I brought home chocolate biscuits and I put them in the cupboard, and I was actually terrified. And so, yeah, I had several meals that were only biscuits. I also binged on them, but I kept bringing them back into the house because my mind just needed to catch up that it wasn't the biscuits that were bad. It was just that my mind was very confused. And once I knew that I could eat biscuits at every meal, if that was what I truly desired, I stopped eating the biscuits. I didn't binge on the biscuits. And I soon really just started craving fruits and vegetables and proteins, those things that my body really needed and it was telling me it needed. Now I always have chocolate in the house. I don't always eat it, and it can sit there for months, but it's always a chocolate that I like and it's always there. So principle 4 is challenging the food police. So the police are those voices that say that you shouldn't eat the cookie because you'll get fat, or you need to go for a run because you had that bit of pizza last night. Or something is too high in carbs or too high in fat or whatever. Challenging the bad cops is challenging the negative thoughts that you have around food and what you should and shouldn't eat, so that you can make room for a more positive and helpful narrative around what you're eating. Principle 5 is discovering the satisfaction factor. I think this is my favorite. So this is often neglected when we talk about nutrition because we get really fixated on the amounts that we should eat or the macros or the calories. But it's so important because when your food is satisfying, you know, you're just less likely to end up eating out of boredom or, you know, start or overeat just because it's not hitting the spot. So, you know, when we cruise the chocolate aisle and we see a really beautiful bar of chocolate, like something that's coconut milk and full of beautiful things like macadamias. And so we check the label and the food police say, no, you can't have that. It's too high in fat. You can go over there and you can have the pretend chocolate that's full of artificial sweetener and it's like 3 calories. You can go have the pretend chocolate. And then you end up eating 10 times that. And it's really not even nice when you could have had 1 or 2 pieces of what you really enjoyed. I think it's also really important that we create a really beautiful environment to eat in. You know, maybe setting the table, putting out some flowers, actually, you know, some beautiful bowls, whatever it's going to be to make you feel like this is your event. You are sitting down, you are nourishing your body, you are doing something truly lovely for yourself. I think it really allows you to savor and not eat in front of the computer. That's like my big no-no. Always doing nothing else, just eating and enjoying. So principle 6 is feel your fullness. So learning to recognize when you are comfortably full is the basis of this concept. And it might sound really obvious, but we don't always do this. We might undereat because we have a fear of that food, or we may overeat because it's a bad food. If we are eating per a plan, then we're really just eating a volume that we are told, regardless of how we're feeling and regardless at what point we feel like we're full or not full. So listening to your feelings of comfort as you eat is incredibly important. If you are comfortable and you know that you should stop, but you have that desire to continue eating, you can just remind yourself, I can have this meal. I can have this meal, next meal if I want, and the next. Like there is no more not eating this again. So it's not out of bounds anymore. Principle 7 is coping with your emotions with kindness. So many of us have spent a lot of time using food as a coping mechanism, and most people can relate to eating out of boredom for comfort or to soothe us. So the key takeaway here is to be aware of your feelings, and you may still eat regardless, but identifying what you're eating will help you gather some tools for your toolbox for the next time. So while eating might soothe, distract, or numb, it won't deal with the source of your emotions. Finding ways to deal with specific emotions will be important. And as you travel on your journey, write these down, such as if I'm anxious, I will have a lovely bath or have a hot shower, or meditate. If I need comfort, I will ask for a hug. You can create a list of self-soothing ideas that you can draw from whenever you need it. Principle 8 is respect your body. We all have a natural weight range, one where it would naturally sit. So respecting our body means learning to live in the body that we have right now as well, even if we aren't 100% comfortable in it and we have been on this dieting journey for a long time. So it'll be really hard to reject the diet mentality if you are criticizing your body. So changing your focus for now is very necessary. Give your current body its dignity and respect because it deserves that. Intuitive eating is weight neutral because to focus on the weight as an outcome undermines the process, but weight loss is often a side effect. But you need to trust that your body will do as it needs to do as your metabolism normalizes and you become attuned to your internal cues around hunger and satiety. Love your body, nourish it, treat it with the respect that it deserves, because hating your body is hating you. Principle 9, movement and feel the difference. If you have used exercise as a form of compensation or to earn food or even punishment, then it will be helpful for you to reframe exercise and just have it be something that is more positive. Move your body, be active, do something that you love, and do it because you enjoy it and because it's healthful, not because you're burning calories. If you have struggled with exercise in the past, removing that pressure and just embracing movement for enjoyment means you'll also more likely be consistent. Principle 10, honoring your health with gentle nutrition. Make food choices that honor your health while also honoring your taste buds and also honoring that it will make you feel good. So aim for progress because perfection is unattainable and it will cripple your efforts. It'll derail you if you feel like you got it wrong. That's all old diet stuff. So remember, it's what you do consistently over time that matters, not that one meal yesterday that you had that you don't feel was perfect. Or even if you ate past comfortable or something like that, like you need to be able to just let go and continue on in your journey. As a couple of suggestions, I would look for I would have a look through the beautiful, simple recipes that we have within the HSE and maybe use them for inspiration about what you might really like to eat. And so if lunch tomorrow is one of our yummy desserts, then so be it. Just only eat it when you're hungry. Stop when you feel that you're comfortable, but love every moment of it. You know that annoying friend who never diets and you go out for coffee and they order the most extravagant looking piece of cake and then they eat like 4 bites and they're like, oh, no, I think I'm done. And you're like, why are you wasting that cake? But to them, they're not wasting it. They just had exactly what they wanted. They just have a different mentality around food. So you can be that person too. You can have what you like, you can love it without the guilt. So after hearing all of this, are you like, oh no, I could never eat that because my primary food groups would become pancakes and pizza, like a uni diet. Well, just know that there was a study done of students. There were 350 men and women, and those who scored really high on the intuitive eating scale ate a far more diverse diet and had a lower BMI. Once you don't fear food or obsess over good or bad, you will truly know that if you want those pancakes, you can absolutely have them. And then you will ask yourself, but do I really want them? You will find that you don't want them as often as you think you will, but when you do, you will thoroughly enjoy them. So you've got this. Acceptance is very important on this journey. It's a process. You will have ups and downs, but it's a long-term investment in your health and happiness rather than a get thin quick scheme. You may feel hyper-conscious and uncomfortable at the beginning, and that's normal. In fact, journaling over this time will be really helpful. It might feel scary, giving up your food rules and beliefs, but you can do this slowly. You might eat foods that you haven't allowed in a long time, or foods that you only eat in secret or while you're busy. You may notice that you don't even like the foods that you crave and don't let yourself have. You'll learn to really figure out your true food likes and dislikes. You will learn to separate true hunger from emotional hunger. You will learn to honor your fullness without wanting to eat it all because you'll never be allowed it again. You will learn to trust your food and what it is doing for your body, your mind, and your brain. And you will love and trust your body for everything it does for you. You will also love your body for its unique beauty, and for that it is yours. You'll be stringing together these beautiful, positive food experiences, which may seem insignificant in the moment, but will create something beautiful. So on a personal note, there were a couple of things that I wanted to mention that were really significant in my own journey, because I had to be really honest with myself, and I made a huge list of everything that was good and bad. I'm just plugging my computer back in again. That's working. So I made a list of everything I considered bad and good. And one of those things I had to address was the elimination of food groups. So I was vegetarian at the time and had been for quite a long time. But essentially I'd removed protein and I hadn't replaced it. I also had an issue with carbs and fat and anything that wasn't incredibly healthy. So I pretty much had a problem with everything. I had a very big list, as you can imagine. So what I had to do was I had to let carbs back in, I had to let fat back in, but I also had to do a deep dive on my ethics. And I had to admit that at least part of the reason I wasn't eating meat at that time was so that I could make things easier and have a lot of food moved out of my line of sight. So I actually had to go back to eating meat for a while until I was 100% comfortable with all food. So nothing was good or bad. It was all just food. And once I had no fear, I could then revisit the ethics. So 10 years later, I'm fully plant-based, and I love that. And I am that way because that is how my body loves to be fed. Obviously it's for the animals and for the planet as well. But if my body was telling me I needed meat, then I would revisit that. So I was also over-exercising at the time. And I think that there are a lot of people that do this. I was exercising probably 3 hours a day at that point. So I gave up the gym. I gave up the gym for a year until I was ready to return, and it would be purely out of enjoyment. So your journey will be unique, just like mine was. It's an incredible journey, and there is a huge ripple effect that goes out into other parts of your life as well. You will often find that your food behaviors will show up in other elements of your life. I found that in terms of money and spending, wasn't that different to my food behaviors. So you'll have things like that come up, and it gives you the opportunity to address other things. So thank you for listening to my presentation. And as you can tell, it's a topic I think is really beautiful. I would love at this time to now turn you over to Larissa, who is going to talk to you about supplementing well. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Carol. I just want to take a second to say thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. It's incredible what you've been through, and certain parts of what you shared I can really relate to with the intuitive eating, because I used to eat like everything on my plate. And when you said, just remember that it'll still be there when you come back to it, I thought, oh, that's so true. And it's something that I never thought about before. And I would kind of keep track of my calories, and I would go to the gym with the intention of burning off the calories that I ate, and I had to earn my piece of cake. And so I thought that was really amazing that you shared that. And I think there's little bits and pieces that we all kind of go through on our own. And that was definitely something that I used to do a lot of. Like, I would track my calories, I would write down everything that I would eat, and not doing that anymore, and just learning to kind of give that up is such a process. So I just want to honor you and your journey and for sharing that with us, because that was beautiful. So my name is Larissa, and I'm going to share with you guys the supplementing well section of the webinar. And this is really to establish a baseline foundation of wholesome nutrition. So we don't believe that you can out supplement an unhealthy diet or a lifestyle, which is why our program focuses on just really infusing healthy habits in conjunction with our partner products as a foundation. And then just a way to kind of bridge that gap between what you're eating and what we ultimately want to be getting into our bodies and into our cells. So we use plant-based products to allow us to really get these key nutrients delivered into our cells every day and to reach that level that we desire. So inside the Healthstyle Emporium, we've partnered up with a company called Juice Plus, and they have provided 3 products that we really will be talking about today. And they target the main health systems in our body and how we can help to combat things like stress, achieve hormonal balance, improve gut health, strengthen our immune system, and so much more. So I'll share those with you guys now. So our whole food capsules are, we have a vegetable blend, we have a fruit blend, and we have a berry blend. And each of these blends have 11 different varieties of fruits and veggies. So altogether, you get 33 different varieties of plant foods in your diet every day. And they're from sources that you wouldn't necessarily get in your diet. So things like lemon peel and elderberry. Like, I don't even think I've ever had elderberry. You get acerola cherry, pineapple, beet, dates, prunes. So on top of already eating healthy fruits and vegetables, you get an additional supplement with that. And what I really love about these is that they're actually vine ripened, handpicked, and they're bioavailable. So what that means is that they're absorbed into your bloodstream within 3 to 5 minutes of actually taking the capsules, which is really amazing. So now, no matter what my day looks like, I know that when I have these, I'm able to kind of bridge that gap from what I'm getting to, or sorry, what I'm taking in to what I ultimately need. So with what Kara was saying, if you want to have your pizza, like, I can have my pizza and not feel guilty because I know I'm supplementing really well with my diet. If I feel like having cake or chocolate, which I love too, I don't have to feel guilty about that. Not that you should anyways, but this just kind of helps me know that I'm getting that little bit extra. One of the nice things about these products that I really love is that there have been over 33 peer-reviewed clinical studies. So they actually reduce oxidative stress. They can positively impact markers of inflammation in our body. So things like inflammation and bloating that we often experience with food. And they also can promote a healthy immune system. What's even better is that with every adult that joins our program, we actually can choose a child in your life, and they can get a free chewable version of these. And they essentially are in a like natural fruit tapioca, and it's in a little gummy form. So they are just as healthy, pure fruits and veggies that they can have. And they taste amazing. They're like little candies. The kids love them. I've had them actually. They're delicious. And that is actually part of our Healthy Starts for Families program, which is the largest population study in the world. And it actually has over 1 million children that are sponsored in it, which is amazing. So now I'm going to talk to you guys about how we supplement well for digestion, to decrease inflammation and enhance our overall ecosystem inside our gut, which is so important for our bodies. And these are our plant-based protein powders. So we have a vanilla and a chocolate. The chocolate is my favorite, which I'm sure you guys can all relate to. And so in order to enhance our gut health and create a healthy gut ecosystem, many people think that they can just supplement with probiotics, but however, we need to really nurture our ecosystem in order for it to survive and flourish. So this is done with both prebiotics or fiber, and our complete shakes have both. So they have prebiotics, fiber, they've got protein, they have grains, and they also have a superfood blend of essential nutrients as well. They are dairy-free, they're gluten-free, they have a plant-based protein blend. 13 grams of protein in these. They're low GI, so they're diabetic friendly. And they give you more sustained energy. So they're a really lovely supplement, not a replacement, but they're really lovely supplement in things like smoothies. You can put them into oats. I will mix them with yogurt sometimes and make like a really yummy mousse. It's like a dessert. It tastes amazing. And so they're really lovely to kind of help decrease those cravings, to balance your blood sugars in between your meals and help you feel more satisfied and satiated like between your meals, especially for on the go. And the last one I'm going to share with you guys is our vegan plant-based omega blend. So that's this one here. This one's probably my favorite. So this one's really important to help support brain health, eye health, heart health, hormones, and our central nervous system. So our bodies don't actually produce these essential fatty acids on their own. So we have to get them from an external source. And so this is a great way to do that. Why I love these is because we actually get these from algae. So a lot of omega supplements are actually from a fish oil. And so the fish will eat that oil and then you get the algae from the fish, whereas we skip the fish and we just get the algae, which is awesome. And so it also has other ingredients as well in here. It has pomegranate seed oil, buckthorn fruit oil. It has raspberry seed oil, safflower oil. And instead of just having omega-3, this has omega-5, 6, 7, and 9. So this one, I think, is probably, like I said, my favorite. I've been on a huge hormone health journey, and this has helped me incredibly get my period back to normal. It's helped with my hormones. It's helped with my skin. And so this is probably one of my favorites that I take every day. And yeah, so those are our main products that we use and we incorporate into our diet. And like I said, they're not to replace any foods that you're already having. They're meant as an addition to what you're already getting into it. So we want to bridge the gap from all those nutrients and vitamins that we're missing from the food that we get from our grocery store and just really increase those phytonutrients, those enzymes, those micronutrients, which are these ones, and your macronutrients, which come from these guys here. So I'm now going to pass it over to Laurence, who's going to talk all about the Live Well section of the amazing program and the beautiful healthy habits that we can really bring into our lives that will help us, or that will help tie this together, to enhance our overall health and well-being.
Thank you, Larissa. That was amazing, gals. I love listening to your story, Carolyn, because I've definitely also struggled with disordered eating, emotional eating, binge eating, just all the things. And I could definitely relate to that. So I'm going to share my screen because I'm going to show a sneak peek into the Healthstyle Emporium. So let me know if you can see my screen. Cool. Okay, thank you. Okay, so basically our program, the Healthstyle Emporium, we are super passionate about sharing because, as you can see and you can tell, we're really passionate about sharing healthy living around the world with as many people as possible. And so this is really about a holistic approach, which is why I really resonated with this program and which is why I am involved with this program, because it's rare to really find something like this that really incorporates all modalities of health. That's not just what you eat or how you move, or sometimes things just focus on like the mindset or, you know, exercise. And here it's really about everything. And so that's what I really love about it, that there's so much more to health than just healthy eating and exercising. And it's really what we deliver to our clients here. It's about how to nourish yourself in every single aspect of your life. And so this won't only impact your physical health, but it can trickle into every area of your life. And so here I will give you a sneak peek, but we're really focusing on all of these healthy habits that we can infuse in addition to the nutrition that Larissa was talking about. So this is our online portal that all of our clients get access to within the Healthstyle Emporium. And the homepage is basically a welcome video. And there's a starter guide. So here We have an easily downloadable guide where you can start to put in your goals. It really looks at goal setting, journaling, our methodology, healthy foundations, reflection. So I really like to start there with my clients, because then we can really start to look at, okay, what's going on and how can we really move forward? And there's great reflections to also look at throughout your journey to help you really succeed and reach your goals. So the first section is one of the most popular sections because it's the recipes. And so as you can see, we have all these categories: breakfast, lunch, and dinner, snacks, treats, dairy, gluten-free, vegan, list goes on and on, soups, smoothie bowls. And so for instance, we have all of these images, which makes it really fun and easy to find a recipe. And then when you click on it, you will find instructions and what to include. So super simple and easy to navigate, which makes it really easy, especially if you're like all over the place and you feel super disorganized. Everything's in one place. Also, what I love is that it is really giving so many different options, and it's really focused on nourishment. This is also something that we teach in the How to Plate Up webinar and guide. So it's a methodology around eating. But as we mentioned, it's really not about rules and restrictions and counting your calories. It's about including all macronutrients and as much nutrition as possible, and also nourishing more than just your physical body. It's also about nourishing like your emotional, mental, spiritual body through food, but other areas as well, because that's when we truly can feel satisfied. And then we're not looking for like these cravings and like these addictions and coping mechanisms. So this is a great thing to look at if you're wondering like how to pair like your plate and balance it out as well. Then we have the webinars. This is personally my favorite because I'm just like, I'm a little bit obsessed about learning everything and anything around holistic health. So this is my favorite. And so this is where we have education from all of our practitioners over the years around so many different things. Recently, we had around mental health, relationship with food and exercise, emotional health, goal setting. We did a masterclass all around PCOS, moon tracking. We have financial stress. We have many webinars around hormones and also your relationship to food in your body, balancing your chakras, gut health, digestive health, stress, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, understanding emotions. So there are so many things as well that can really go well and pair well if you're really trying to implement a healthier relationship with food in your body and more intuitive way to eating. So there's many resources in there as well. Then spirituality, mindset, and spirituality. So we have so many different sections here. Obviously, this whole thing is optional. You kind of like pick out what you want. But here it's really great because we have not only challenges like gratitude challenge, self-love challenge, but we also have these little mini meditations and longer meditations that can really help you get more centered, tune into yourself, and start to develop more of that intuition and really decrease that stress response. So you can start to regulate your nervous system, because that's such an important part on your journey, especially when it comes to developing a healthier relationship with your body and food. And so we also have sleep, soul sessions, guided meditation. So there's so many resources here as well that I really love. Movement. So pretty similar to our methodology around nutrition, we understand that movement is super important, which is why it's a big part of this portal. But we also know that everyone's different. So this is why we have so many different exercise guides: cardio, strength training, personal training, Pilates, yoga. So we really encourage you to experiment and see what works for you, and really to incorporate a wide variety of different movements, and something that you can do at home, at the gym, and then also really developing a more intuitive approach to that as well, so that you don't feel like burnt out or that you're literally like hating every minute of it, because that's really not the point of this. So that is the movement section. Then we have a great skincare section from our skin specialists, which are using some of the products, but then also webinar, ebook, some scrubs, like different recipes that you can use. So that's also such a blessing, because I definitely understand the struggle dealing with cystic acne for 9 years. I was able to completely clear it through this program. So that was just a godsend. I am still in shock to this day. Then we have additional resources. So here these are lots of resources from different webinars. So we have things like PCOS, hormones, balancing your hormones, understanding your emotions, the chakras, different recipes, guides, joy menu. So again, many resources you can use here as well. Then we have education. So lots of different recommended books, documentaries as well, so that you can really start to dive into more of what you're really wanting to learn more about. And then Juice Plus information. So we do have at least 33 clinical studies done on our products. And so this is where you get to geek out, which is what I love. I love the science. So this can really help you to understand how the products really work in the body. And then especially if you're working on specific things that you want to improve, this can be a really great section to explore as well. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. That's our Live Well section of the program to really tie in all of these habits that we really want to infuse into our daily life. And so it's really not just about food and nutrition, it's really about so much more. And this is what we really help our clients go throughout the program. So thank you for listening. I hope that this has inspired you, and I will now pass it back to Carolyn.
Thank you, Laurence. Okay, you all hear me okay? Yeah? Cool. Well, thank you, Larissa and Laurence. You shared so beautifully this evening, and I sincerely hope that everyone who's on today or sees this webinar at a later date, I really hope that you get some value out of what we have shared. Now, if you have any questions, please send them to the person who invited you along or who has sent you this webinar. Especially if you're interested in learning more about our program, or if you'd like to join, so please get in touch with them and have a chat. We do have a testimonial group, so that's where you can hear some amazing transformations from this program as well, if you are dealing with any specific concerns that you'd like to know more about and what our products could do for you. So we have literally seen it all. So please don't be shy about asking any questions. We're here to help, we're here to add value to your lives, especially during these stressful times. So if you have enjoyed today and you'd love to come again or even invite a friend along, you're more than welcome to. We'll be having more of these events. And just connect with whoever invited you today, and they will pass on any details for our next event. So the last bit of info that I'd like to share with you is that if you've loved this program and you've loved the info that we've shared with you tonight, wherever you are in the world, and if you could see yourself wanting to share this with others as well, we do also have a business opportunity. So if you are passionate about well-being and teaching others about health, and even just being an HSE ambassador, please connect with us and we can share more information with you about how it works. It's never been more important to have additional income streams that work for you during these times, which is why we're so passionate about sharing this. There's no qualifications to do the work. All training is provided. It's incredibly flexible. You can choose your own hours, and basically you choose how much time you want to put into your business. It's a wonderful community of like-minded people. It's very fun. It's an amazing passion project to have in addition to whatever it is you might already be doing in your life. And it's another way for you to grow as a person, learn new skills, and improve your health and fulfillment. So again, please just get in touch with whoever invited you, and they can share more on that if it's something you're interested in. Now, I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. So thanks again for jumping on and spending this time with us. We really hope you enjoyed what we shared, and we will be looking forward to seeing you again very soon. Thank you.